In a world quick to judge and slow to understand, Jesus shows his disciples a mirror that reflects not faces, but hearts. A lesson in empathy that transforms them forever. The gentle rustling of olive leaves and the soft morning light bathed the hillside where Jesus and his disciples gathered. Today, however, something about the setting felt different, as though the air itself carried the weight of a sacred lesson. In Jesus' hands was a simple mirror, old and unadorned, yet it seemed to glow faintly as if filled with an inner light. The disciples, curious and quiet, looked at the mirror, sensing that today's lesson would reach far beyond words. Jesus let the mirror catch the sun's light, and as it gleamed, the disciples saw their reflections within it, each face momentarily captured. But there was something strange about this reflection, something that seemed to beckon them to look deeper, to understand themselves and others in a way they had never imagined. Today, Jesus said, his voice gentle yet resonant, "I want to share with you a gift, a way of seeing that reaches into the very heart of a person. This gift, this mirror, does not reflect the face alone. It reveals the depths within, a glimpse into the hidden burdens, the hopes, the fears, and the love that reside in each of us. I will share a story to help you understand." The disciples settled in, captivated by Jesus' words. Each of them, in their own way, had struggled with judgments and assumptions, with both the weight of their own insecurities and the expectations placed upon them by others. Jesus' words promised a new way to see themselves and the world around them, and they listened intently, eager to learn. Jesus began his story with a calm, comforting tone that invited them to picture the distant village where this tale unfolded. In a village nestled between two mountains, he said, there lived a young boy named Eli. Eli was small and quiet, with a gentle heart and a kind nature. Though he cared deeply for the people around him, his kindness was often mistaken for weakness, his gentleness for fragility. Others saw him as unimportant, as someone whose life would not make much difference. They overlooked him, dismissing him with casual cruelty, sometimes without even realizing the effect their words had on his heart. The disciples felt a pang of empathy for Eli. They could see him in their minds, a small boy, shrinking under the weight of judgments that were so thoughtlessly placed upon him. Jesus continued, letting the depth of Eli's loneliness and struggle unfold before them. Eli began to believe the words spoken to him. He thought, if everyone sees me as weak, then maybe that's all I am. He withdrew into himself, choosing silence over rejection, retreating to the quiet corners of the village where he could avoid the harsh eyes and cutting words of others. He felt invisible, unseen, and unworthy. Each time he looked into the simple mirror in his home, he could not see past the image reflected back, an image he believed to be small, powerless, and unremarkable. The disciples shifted, feeling the weight of Eli's isolation. They too had faced moments of doubt and feelings of unworthiness. Each of them had, at some point, wondered if the judgments of others held truth. Jesus' gaze softened as he let the disciples feel Eli's sorrow, giving them a moment to reflect on their own experiences. Then one day, Jesus said, a stranger arrived in the village, a traveler who carried with him a mirror unlike any other. The mirror was simple, yet it held a mysterious glow that seemed to draw people in. The traveler explained that this mirror was special, for it showed not only the image of a person but the hidden emotions, the true heart of anyone who looked into it. It was said that the mirror had the power to reveal the depths of a person's soul, to show them who they truly were beneath the surface. The disciples leaned in, their imaginations capturing the magic of the moment, picturing the traveler standing at the village's edge with this extraordinary mirror. They could sense the awe and curiosity the villagers must have felt, wondering what the mirror would reveal. The villagers were intrigued, Jesus continued, and one by one they stepped forward to look into the mirror, hoping to see something grand, something beautiful. But instead they were shown the hidden parts of themselves. Their fears, their insecurities, the struggles they had kept hidden even from themselves. Many were disappointed. They had expected the mirror to reveal greatness, but instead, it showed the complexity of their hearts. And so, one by one they turned away, dismissing the mirror as an object of little worth, unable to accept or understand the truths it revealed. The disciples felt a sense of sadness for the villagers, understanding how challenging it must be to confront one's own heart, to see the truths that lie within. Jesus let the moment sink in before he continued. But there was one person who did not turn away, Jesus said, his voice softening. Eli, who had watched from a distance, felt something stirring within him, a small, quiet hope mixed with fear. He wanted to look into the mirror, to understand himself in a way he never had before, yet he was afraid of what he might see. What if the mirror confirmed what he already believed? What if he saw only weakness, only the smallness that others had made him feel? The disciples felt Eli's hesitation as if it were their own. They imagined his trembling hands, the weight of his fear, and the courage it took to step forward, to ask the traveler for a chance to look into the mirror. Eli approached the traveler and asked, "Will I see myself as others do?" The disciples held their breath, sensing the depth of Eli's vulnerability in that question. Jesus looked at them, his eyes filled with understanding, and continued. The traveler looked at Eli with kindness and said, "No, young one. You will see yourself as you truly are." And with that, he handed the mirror to Eli. The disciples could almost feel the mirror's weight in their own hands, the anticipation and fear mingling as Eli held it before his face. Jesus paused, allowing them to picture the scene vividly. Eli looked into the mirror, Jesus said, and what he saw was not the small, fragile boy he had believed himself to be. Instead, he saw a heart that had endured loneliness without bitterness, a spirit that had remained kind despite the harshness of others, and a quiet resilience he had not recognized within himself. He saw compassion, courage, and a deep, abiding love for those around him. Tears filled his eyes as he realized his own worth, a worth that had been hidden even from himself. The disciples felt tears well in their own eyes, moved by the beauty of Eli's revelation. They too had wondered about their own worth, about the truths they might find if they looked deeply into their own hearts. Jesus watched their reactions, a gentle smile on his face as he continued. When Eli returned the mirror to the traveler, Jesus said, he felt transformed. He no longer saw himself as small or unimportant. He understood that he carried a strength, a light, a love that could not be dimmed by others' judgments. And more than that, he began to see others differently too. He understood that the villagers who had mocked him were carrying burdens of their own, hidden fears, insecurities, and pains that shaped their actions. He saw that even those who seemed strong often hid vulnerabilities beneath their armor. The disciples listened intently, realizing that this story was not only about Eli but also about how they too could see others with greater compassion. Jesus turned to Peter and extended the mirror toward him. Peter's heart raced, his hands trembling as he took it. The mirror felt cool, heavier than he expected, as though it contained the weight of every emotion he had ever felt. As he looked into it, he braced himself for the image that would appear. At first, Jesus said, Peter saw his own doubts and fears, the times he had hesitated, the moments he had questioned himself. But as he looked deeper, he saw his fierce loyalty, the courage that pushed him to follow his heart, even when it meant stepping into the unknown. He saw his love for his friends, a love that drove him to protect and serve them without hesitation. Tears gathered in Peter's eyes, and he handed the mirror to John, who gazed into it with reverence. John saw his gentle spirit, the compassion he held for others, the quiet strength that he had often hidden behind silence. One by one, each disciple held the mirror, each seeing their struggles, their courage, their love. When they had all looked into the mirror, Jesus gathered them close, his voice filled with warmth and wisdom. Remember this, he said, the mirror does not reveal only one's image but the truth within. In this world, people are quick to judge by appearances. But true vision, true understanding, comes from looking with the heart. Every person you meet carries a story, a struggle, a dream hidden beneath the surface. When you encounter anger, see the hurt beneath it. When you see pride, look for the fear that lies below. And when you witness kindness, recognize the courage it takes to love in a world that can be so harsh. The disciples nodded, feeling a profound shift within their hearts. They looked at one another, and in each other's faces, they saw not only friends and fellow travelers but souls bound together in compassion and love. They held hands, each making a silent vow to carry this lesson forward, to be mirrors of empathy in a world that often looked only skin deep. My beloved friends, Jesus said softly, never forget that empathy is a gift, a light that brightens even the darkest places. See others with love, speak with compassion, and when you judge, look beyond appearances to the heart within. For only by looking with the eyes of love can you truly know another. As Jesus finished, the disciples rose, feeling the weight of a new understanding in their hearts. They knew that they had seen not only Eli's journey but their own, and through it, the boundless love of Jesus. And as they walked down the hillside, each carried a piece of that mirror within them. A mirror of empathy reflecting love, understanding, and compassion in a world that so desperately needed it. This is end of the story. Comment amen if you believe in Jesus' blessings. Please like this video and subscribe this channel for more Jesus story like this. May the God watch over you.